This video is for people who want to understand what Open Simulator is and how to use it. Let's start with 3 similar games to orient you. Hopefully you're familiar with Roblox or Minecraft or Sims or Disney Infinity or Lego Worlds. All of these games have some similar characteristics. Like you can, there are 3D multiplayer games now. They didn't all used to be multiplayer, but they are now. You are represented in the game as an avatar that you can design or style, and you can move around the world using your avatar and interact with other players. There's a lot of user-generated content, stuff that people have built themselves, especially in Minecraft and to some extent Roblox. Though I think mainly kids use Roblox to socialize with each other and play games. You can build things and even make games. So that's what Roblox is like. That's what Minecraft is like. Sims didn't used to be multiplayer, but it can be now, I think. The only difference is with Sims, you get realistic graphics. You get human-looking avatars and human-looking worlds. So think about these 3 games, and then you'll know that they all share characteristics with Second Life. Let's talk about Second Life. So Second Life came out in 2003. It was pretty popular pretty quickly. You had the realism of Sims, and you had all the other characteristics shared by Minecraft and Roblox and others. Some additional pros, 90%, I think, at last count. The amount of content, like the coffee shop behind here, and the tables and chairs, and the towns or games, or there's like role-playing worlds. 90% of the content you come across in Second Life is user-created. Creators love Second Life because you have much greater control over what you can make, the software you can use to make your 3D models or texture them. There's a very strong scripting model which allows you to program things like, say you wanted to put a chessboard on this table here at this little coffee shop and allow the avatars to play chess. You would have to script the behavior of the chessboard to allow people to play it. But the scripting model elicits huge creative freedom. Second Life, no question about it, it was meant for adults. I'm sure some kids go in there, some young people, but it is meant for adults, and consequently, it's expensive. Owning a piece of land in Second Life can be up to $50 a month, depending on how big the land is or how many objects are allowed to be instantiated on your land. Like this chair is one object, the table is one object, this building is probably made up of, like, could be 1,000 objects, right? Anytime you bring an object, you import a 3D model into Second Life, like a 3D model of a chair, you had to pay for importing the model. You had to pay for the cream-colored fabric texture that you would paint on the chair. You had to pay for the wrought iron texture that you would paint on the back of the chair. Like every time you brought in a model, an animation, a sound, a texture, an image, whatever, you had to pay each time. So yeah, really expensive and overrun with XXX content. Like, do not let your kids on here. So Second Life ran for a while. It got really popular, but sometime around 2007, it went open source. Second Life, Linden Labs that created Second Life decided to make the system software that allowed you to create this world open source. And so a bunch of people were like, sweet, let's do something with this open source content. So they split Second Life the Second Life experience into two pieces for their open source version. There's the system code, which runs behind the scenes. And then there's the viewer that you would need to see the 3D rendering of the world that's being run on the system code. So there's system code behind the scenes, and then the viewer that lets you see other avatars and interact with the world. So for system code, OpenSimulator was created by a bunch of dedicated community members. It's the strongest. There were other 3D worlds that were open source 3D worlds that people tried to make, but OpenSimulator is the strongest survivor, has the largest open source community, has the most support. So OpenSimulator, it's like the operating system for virtual worlds. You don't see it, but it runs somewhere, and then you need a viewer to see what it's generating. So now of the viewers, there are many, many viewers, but Firestorm seems to be the most popular, and again, the strongest survivor of all the viewers that were made, and a huge open source community. So the only part that you need to view a world like this and interact with people in it is a viewer, because somebody else is running. Oh, what am I doing? Somebody else is running OpenSimulator to host a world. So let's talk about that terminology. World. Like Second Life was its own world, and people refer to Second Life as the Second Life grid. So you'll, if you ever hear the word grid, think 3D virtual world. Another piece of terminology to know is online universe is often referred to as a metaverse. Okay, so let's talk about the grids that you can visit. Oops, I keep losing my place, sorry. So there's lots of grids owned by companies or people. They decided to take OpenSimulator, run it on a computer somewhere, and open it up so that people can connect to it using a viewer. So the most popular grids, there are hundreds of grids, but oh, here we go. So here are four of the, I'm not sure if they're the most popular, but OS Grid is run by the people who created OpenSimulator. It's their testing ground. DigiWorlds is a very, very active, very popular grid. So is Wolf Territories. And the one I'm going to show is Kitely. I actually bought some land on Kitely so that I could build permanent structures on it. All you need in order to visit worlds and interact with people is an account with one of the grids, i.e. grid membership, and a viewer like Firestorm. Now, if you want to build things, then you got to buy land on one of those grids. You can have multiple accounts on one grid. You can have accounts on multiple grids. But if you're going to buy land in grids, it gets expensive. I think the cheapest I've found was Kitely. The cheapest I've found for the performance is definitely Kitely. It's about $15 a month for, I think, the smallest piece. But all of these worlds give you a free piece of land to start. You just can't have many objects running on it. But you don't need to buy land to build temporary things. All of these grids have sandboxes where you can practice building things, or, you know, yeah. But I think they delete everything on that, in that sandbox every night, or maybe every week, I can't remember. Okay, so what have we covered here? That's all you need if you want to, yeah. Okay, I'm done. Next video shows you how to create an account on Kitely and open the viewer and then display Kitely, like log into Kitely using the viewer.